And then I'm gonna share my screen. All right, can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so how to find a therapist. Before we start, I'm just gonna let you know, my name is Tanya. I'm one of the counselors here at the Faculty and Staff Assistance Program. Right now, there's two of us, two Tanyas. We're hoping to have a third clinician come on board fairly soon. We offer counseling, referrals, supervision, consulting. We offer workshops like these from our office, but your office can also request and have us come and speak to your office about a number of wellness topics. Today, we're going to be talking about how to find a therapist. So one of the things our office does is help with referrals, but oftentimes people kind of want to just do the search on their own, and we just want to be able to give you all the tools to be able to do that successfully. So today we're going to discuss what is therapy. We're going to discuss the difference between short-term and long-term therapy. We're going to understand how insurance and therapy kind of work together, how to get coverage, how to make sure you're covered, how to start your therapy search, how to make contact with potential therapists, how to get to know your therapist, and then expectations for your first appointment. Can anybody tell me what therapy is? What they think therapy is, what they've been told about therapy? Anyone?
Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I would say therapy is a place that gives you the tools to fix your own problems, but they're not going to fix it for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. So therapy is treatment that can help people feel better or grow stronger, and it can be used for mental or physical. There's talk therapy, but there's physical therapy. There's also occupational therapy. In talk therapy in particular, or also referred to as psychotherapy, people meet with their therapist to talk and learn skills to cope and feel better. Exactly what Tyra shared. Therapy can also help people develop skills such as communication, self-awareness, self-care, and mindfulness. Oftentimes people say, why do I need to see a therapist? I can just talk to my friends. Therapy isn't just about talking or just about listening. It's about learning tools, learning how to be reflective, learning how to take care of yourself, and learning how to regulate your emotions. Short-term versus long-term therapy. At the Faculty and Staff Assistance Program, we offer short-term therapy. Okay, it's 10 sessions. Longer term therapy can, last anywhere from 6 months to 3 years. Some people meet with their therapist consistently. And here's the difference between the two. So short term typically focuses on one or two specific concerns. It tends to be a little bit more solution focused and structured. There's a clear beginning and a clear end. Sometimes this doesn't allow for efficient treatment. If somebody has, chronic depression or chronic anxiety, 10 sessions might not be enough to help them navigate that. Typically, therapists who have, expertise in a very particular population, for example, they might specialize in seeing folks with OCD, folks with PTSD, those kind of specialty populations may need long-term therapy. And again, short-term therapy might not be the best type of care for them. In short-term therapy, clients and therapists have less time together. This impacts everybody differently. Some people enjoy just 10 sessions. They don't really need to feel comfortable with the therapist. They just need a solution. They just need help with the here and now. And after the sessions, they're on their way. Other people may feel like they actually need to connect. And sometimes it might take 10 sessions to feel comfortable enough with a therapist to actually begin doing the work. Long-term therapy can be structured and solution-focused. It does not always have a clear beginning and an end. There are solutions, but there's also space for processing concerns that happened 10 years ago, that's happening now, or even worries about the future. It's better suited for clients with long-standing or chronic mental health challenges, or clients who kind of just want very consistent support, want to have a place to process what's happening, need help with transitions. It's really helpful when clients need to see a specialist. And because it's longer term, it allows for clients to have a better therapeutic relationship because they have more time to get to know the therapist, and the therapist has more time to get to know the client. So insurance. Most insurance plans offer coverage for mental health visits. If you're unsure, you can always take your insurance card, flip it over. There's a ton of numbers on the back. Give them a call and ask. Some important questions to ask your insurance company is, do I have mental health coverage? Do I have a deductible or a copay? If yes, how much? It's important to know this because if it is in your budget to pay $10 or $20 for a copay, that's very different than learning you have a deductible and you're paying $120 out of pocket until your deductible is met. It's really important to kind of have that information before you start. And oftentimes your therapist can kind of help with that as well. You may also want to ask if you can see out-of-network providers. Let's say you come across a therapist who you seem really interested in. They might not take your insurance, but if your insurance covers out-of-network providers, your therapist will be able to give you what's called a super bill, and you can submit that to your insurance for reimbursement. Your insurance company can also provide you with a list of in-network providers. Sometimes this is right on their portal. If you have a login for your insurance company, you may have access to find providers that way. You can also ask them to send you a list. And if you don't have coverage, a lot of therapists accept private pay and offer sliding scales, based on your income, or offer budget-friendly prices. Here are some frequently asked questions in the therapist search. What do all the letters mean? We get this question a lot. LMHC, LCSWC, LICSW, LPC, LCPC. There's a lot of letters, but essentially the letters are really around what kind of license somebody has, what kind of degree the person has, how many hours, and the difference in the kind of studying that they've done. I am going to share a link. I have to stop sharing very quickly so I can just share a link for a website that I think did a really great job explaining the difference between the letters. This article is called Decoding the Alphabet Soup. So I'm just going to share that resource if you all want to actually read a little bit more about what the different letters mean. For the sake of time, I can't really go into all of them, but I did want to share that resource. Okay. Other questions, other frequently asked questions are, is it better in person or virtually? That's really up to your preference. You know, some people are kind of over Zoom and they want that in-person interaction. And some people just find telehealth and virtual sessions convenient. So it's really up to you. We also hear that I don't want a psychologist because I don't need medication. Most psychologists actually don't prescribe. There's only 5 states that psychologists are able to get extra training to be able to prescribe. But typically, most states, the only people who can prescribe are psychiatrists, which are a type of medical doctors. So they get their medical degree and then they have this extra special training on psychopharmacology and what medications to prescribe in terms of mental health. Okay. Another thing that you might encounter on your search are all these other letters about different kinds of therapy: CBT, DBT, EMDR, EFT. And I'll just briefly tell you a little bit about each, just so you have a point of reference. You actually don't need to know what kind of therapy you need. Unless it's something that you want to know, you don't have to, you know, you won't have to say, hey, I'd like CBT. You know, if you're finding a therapist, you think, hey, I like this person's bio, I think I might reach out. And we'll talk a little bit about how to find more about your therapist. You can ask them what kinds of therapy they offer and then learn a little bit about it. But this isn't information you need to know in order to find a therapist, but I'm just sharing it because these letters do pop up on your search. So CBT is really about challenging and reframing negative thinking, negative self-talk. It's based on the idea that our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors are all related. And just taking a look at all of those and being able to challenge cognitive distortions and different ways of thinking. Dialectical behavioral therapy is similar to CBT. It's really used to help learn how to regulate your emotions. EMDR, this is often used for trauma or anxiety. And when they started using EMDR, it was only eye movements, but now it's just any kind of bilateral stimulation, which might be tapping, which might be sound. But again, this is a little bit more of an intensive therapeutic approach. Emotion-focused therapy is kind of what it sounds like. And then somatic therapy, mind-body awareness therapy, is when a therapist is really saying, hey, how does your body feel when this happened? What emotions do you feel when this happened? And really having a connection between how your body feels and how you feel emotion-wise. So this is just some background information for you all to have. So starting your search, here's a list of helpful directories or places to start. Psychology Today is a very popular website. InnoPsych, Growth Therapy, Hello Alma, Headway, ZocDoc. These are all directories that you can just Google, go on the website, and there's tons and tons and tons of therapists. Some questions to ask yourself during the search is, what am I hoping to process? What am I hoping to work on? What type of tools am I hoping to learn? Is the identity of my therapist important? Do I want them to be a specific age, a specific gender? Do I want them to have a specific expertise? Do I want them to speak another language? These are all things to be thinking about before you start your search, because each of these directories also allow you to use filters to narrow your search. So once you're on the directory, in the next slide, I kind of walk you through what it might look like. Once you're on the directory, some websites allow you to email the provider directly from that profile. Others will provide an email address or phone number or their website that you can make an initial contact. When you're reaching out to a provider, it's helpful to email a short description of your needs and what you're looking for, and sometimes even adding your insurance, because that's often a follow-up question a therapist will have. And I wrote an example here. Good afternoon. My name is Tanya. I'm looking for a therapist to help me better manage stress and difficult conversations. Based on your profile, I feel we would be a good fit. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. Are you accepting new clients? If so, what are the next steps? I will say it is important. This is the first contact you're making with the therapist. If you're saying, hi, do you have openings? The therapist is a person, they might respond differently to a very short, no greeting email versus you're putting a little bit of thought into the email. That is their first contact and their first interaction with you. So this is a video that I just screen recorded. Can you all see that? Hold on. Can somebody just let me know yes in the chat if you all are able to see that?
Yes.
Okay, hey, thank you. All right, so I'll start it over again. So this is Psychology Today, as I mentioned, one of the popular sites. I'm putting in College Park because that's around the area. Most of the time, people want virtual sessions, so it doesn't really matter what zip code you put in, but you have to put in Maryland or the city that you live in. Okay. So I'm using the filter Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'm saying I want somebody who can do CBT. Is there anything else that I'm looking for? I want somebody who can provide culturally sensitive care. There's tons and tons of filters, and a language, right? Spirituality, all of these things you're able to filter through. Once you have the filters, you can just read through the blurbs, the bios. Okay, let's say I choose this person. I like that they use CBT and EMDR. I'm going to go ahead and put my information in. And I might say new client, do you have openings, whatever subject you want to be, and then go ahead and type in the message. And when you send an email via Psychology Today, they'll send you an email saying, hey, this person received your email. Okay. This is another website, Hello Alma. This one's actually very, very user-friendly. Similar to Psychology Today, it's asking you a bunch of different filters. What are you looking for in terms of what are you hoping to focus on? Does identity matter? What insurance will you be using? The reason that I say this one is user-friendly is they will only show you therapists that have openings. So if a therapist is not accepting any clients, it will not show up on this website. And for those that are accepting clients, it'll allow you to request a consultation. Some will even allow you to schedule a consultation right on the website. Okay. And let me see if I can show you an example, right? So this is how Hello Alma's page looks like, and you can request consultation right on their page. Super, super, super easy there. Okay. So in terms of making contact with your therapist, I would suggest emailing more than one provider, especially if you're using Psychology Today or InnoPsych, because You might not hear back from all of the providers you reach out to. Unfortunately, sometimes they're not able to update their directory in terms of if their caseload is full or not. When you reach out to the provider, they may email you or they may give you a call. As I mentioned, some of the websites allow you to reach out to the clinician directly on the page and request a consultation. I recommend scheduling a 15-minute consultation because this is where you can get to talk to the person, ask them questions, and I'll talk a little bit about that briefly. But get a sense of, do I like this person's energy? Does this person sound like they're listening to me, right? What is my first interaction? What is my first gut feeling about this person? These are some questions to get to know your therapist. So after you've reached out and they've responded and said, hey, yes, I do have an opening, let's schedule a consultation. These are some questions that you can ask. Do you accept Blue Cross Blue Shield? What is the cost per session? How long have you been a therapist? How long are your sessions typically? It's important to know the cancellation policy or no-show policy. Some clinicians will charge if you don't give them 48 hours notice about a cancellation, and it's important to know that upfront. What does a typical session look like? Do you have experience working with people in academia or people who have OCD? How are my therapy goals determined? How is my progress tracked, right? These are questions that you can ask in the consultation to gauge whether or not this person might be a good fit. Okay, and then the first session, it's okay to be nervous, especially if this is a new thing for you. Your therapist will most likely go over confidentiality limitations, which are most things are confidential unless they are related to safety. If you're having thoughts about harming yourself, harming somebody else, if you disclose child abuse, elder abuse, or abuse of somebody who's disabled, they have to report it. They'll go over their practice policies. They'll have an intake questionnaire, which is just really getting all this background information from you to have a full picture of who you are. They'll talk about what your treatment goals are. After your first session, I encourage you to just take time to process your experience. And some things to keep in mind, not every therapist is a good fit. It might take you a few sessions to feel comfortable with a therapist. This is somebody you're meeting for the first time, okay? Sometimes therapy is not going to be fun. Sometimes you're going to leave feeling a little sad or a little angry, but that's a part of the process. It's absolutely okay to disagree with your therapist. And it's okay to only talk about something when you're ready and let your therapist know, I'm actually not ready to talk about that. Okay. And then if you feel like, hey, this is not a good fit, let your therapist know that you're going to look at other options or that you don't feel like it's a good fit. I know I went through a ton of information. I'm going to stop here and ask if anybody has questions.